The fluorescent lights of Mercy General Hospital's emergency room hummed like dying insects. It was 11:42 on a Thursday night, and the air tasted of disinfectant and desperation. Dr. Helena Thorne stood in the supply closet restocking gauze with methodical precision. Her hands moved with the kind of economy that comes from 30 years of surgery. Steady, practiced, wasted on arranging bandages. She was 62 years old. Her hair, steel gray and pulled into a tight bun, caught the harsh overhead light. The laugh lines around her eyes had deepened into something harder over the past 5 years. Since David died. Since the Army decided she was too old to serve. Since Mercy General relegated her to the night shift, the forgotten hours, when real doctors went home to their families. Her right leg made a soft mechanical whisper as she reached for the top shelf. Prosthetic. Carbon fiber and titanium, state-of-the-art, a gift from the VA after Kosovo, 28 years ago. The leg worked perfectly. Better than the original in some ways. More stable. More predictable. But it marked her. Made her different. Made her disposable. The emergency room erupted behind her. Sirens first, then shouting. The distinctive chaos of multiple casualties arriving simultaneously. Helena's hand stopped moving. Her body went very still in the way soldiers become motionless when they hear incoming fire. She listened. 3 gurneys crashed through the automatic doors. The metal wheels shrieked against linoleum. Young voices overlapped, panic, talking over each other in the universal language of medical professionals who suddenly realized they were in over their heads. Helena stepped out of the supply closet. The scene unfolded in brutal clarity. A construction accident. The night supervisor had mentioned it on the scanner 20 minutes ago. Scaffolding collapse. Multiple victims. 3 critical. Patient 1, a little girl maybe 7 years old, blonde hair matted with blood. Her chest rose and fell in shallow, desperate gasps. Punctured lung. Helena could see it from 15 feet away in the way the child's ribs moved asymmetrically. Patient 2, a middle-aged man, 50-something, construction vest still on. Cardiac arrest. The paramedics were doing compressions, but the rhythm was wrong. Too fast, too shallow. Panic compressions, not effective ones. Patient 3, a teenager 19 at most, lying in a spreading pool of his own blood. Femoral artery, severed clean. He had maybe 10 minutes before exsanguination. Maybe less. Dr. Avery Lancaster stood in the center of the storm, frozen. 32 years old, Harvard Medical School, 2 years of residency, board certified and absolutely terrified. His hands shook as he pointed at the little girl. Get her to Trauma 1. I need a chest tube kit and someone call respiratory. Where's respiratory? No one answered. Everyone was moving, but no one was doing anything useful. A nurse dropped a bag of saline. It burst on the floor like a water balloon. Another nurse was crying. The teenager with the severed femoral artery was losing color by the second, his skin going from tan to gray to the color of old newspaper. Helena's prosthetic moved soundlessly as she walked forward. She didn't run. She didn't shout. She simply moved through the chaos like a ship cutting through fog, inevitable and calm. Her hand landed on Dr. Lancaster's shoulder. He jumped like she'd electrocuted him. Dr. Thorne, I don't have time. The girl first, Helena said. Her voice was low controlled, the kind of voice that doesn't need volume to command. Tension pneumothorax, left side. Get me a 14-gauge needle and step aside. Lancaster blinked. What? No, we need to. Step aside. Something in her tone made him move. Maybe it was the flatness. Maybe it was the absolute certainty. Maybe it was the way her eyes had gone cold and focused the way a sniper's eyes go cold when they find their target. Helena took position beside the little girl. The child's name tag read Emma. Not the name that mattered right now. Right now, she was tension pneumothorax, left side, approximately 4 minutes from cardiac arrest. Helena's fingers found the second intercostal space by touch. Muscle memory. She'd done this procedure 200 times, 50 of them under fire. The last time was Kandahar 2011, a Marine 23 years old, shrapnel in his chest. He'd lived. The needle went in smooth. There was resistance, then the distinctive hiss of trapped air escaping the pleural cavity. The little girl gasped, a real breath. Her oxygen saturation jumped from 78 to 92 in seconds. The ER went quiet. Helena was already moving to the man in cardiac arrest. The paramedics had stepped back exhausted from compressions. One of them was bent over, the hands on his knees, breathing hard. 2 minutes of good compressions, Helena said, stripping off her supply closet gloves and snapping on sterile ones. Then epinephrine, 1 milligram IV push. And someone tell me why no one's called the cath lab. She positioned her hands on the man's chest. Found the landmark. Started compressions. 100 beats per minute. Exactly. 2 inches deep. Let the chest recoil completely between compressions. The attending physician, Dr. Sarah Brenner, appeared beside her. Dr. Thorne, you're not supposed to. The femoral artery, Helena said, maintaining rhythm. Patient 3, someone needs to get pressure on that wound right now or he bleeds out in 6 minutes. Dr. Brenner's mouth opened, closed. She looked at the teenager at the lake of blood spreading across the floor and sprinted. Helena kept compressing. Her shoulders burned. Her lower back screamed. The prosthetic locked at the knee, giving her stability. She'd learned years ago to trust the leg more than the original. The original leg would have cramped by now, would have trembled, would have failed. The prosthetic didn't fail. At 2 minutes, she stopped. Epinephrine now. A nurse pushed the drug. Helena watched the monitor, watched the flat line, counted to 10. Resume compressions. She positioned her hands again, started again. The man's ribs flexed under her palms. Old bones, probably osteoporotic. She felt one crack slightly, adjusted her pressure. Better a broken rib than a dead patient. 30 seconds later, the monitor beeped. Then again, then a rhythm, sinus tachycardia. Fast but organized, alive. Helena stepped back. Her scrubs were soaked with sweat. Her breath came steady, controlled. She looked around the ER. The little girl was breathing. The man had a pulse. Dr. Brenner had the teenager's femoral artery clamped, blood flow controlled. 3 patients, 3 saves. 18 minutes. Dr. Lancaster stared at her like she'd walked on water. The nurses stared. The paramedics stared. Even the security guard by the door was staring. Helena walked back to the supply closet, stripped off her gloves, threw them in the biohazard bin, picked up where she'd left off with the gauze. Her hands didn't shake. They never shook. Not anymore, not since Kosovo taught her that shaking was a luxury for people who had time to feel things. Behind her, someone whispered, "Who the hell is that?" The administrator's office smelled like leather and ambition. Vincent Blackwell kept it at exactly 68 degrees, the photographs on the wall positioned at precise angles. His desk immaculate except for a single manila folder. Helena's personnel file. He'd been holding it when she walked in. Now it sat between them like evidence at a trial. Blackwell was 48 years old, expensive suit, Harvard MBA, the kind of man who thought healthcare was a spreadsheet problem that could be solved with the right algorithm. He'd been at Mercy General for 3 years. In that time, he'd cut the nursing staff by 20%, closed 2 wings, and increased profit margins by 14%. The board loved him. Helena had never spoken to him directly before this moment. "Dr. Thorne," he said, his voice was smooth, practiced, the kind of voice that had been trained to deliver bad news without sounding human. "Please sit." Helena remained standing, her prosthetic locked at parade rest. Old habit, army habit. Blackwell's eye twitched, just slightly. "I'd prefer if you sat. I'd prefer to know why I'm here." A pause. He opened the folder, pretended to read something he'd clearly memorized. "Last night's incident in the emergency room has been brought to my attention. 3 patients lived. 3 patients received treatment from a physician who was not authorized to provide that level of care." Helena's jaw tightened, just barely. "I'm a trauma surgeon with 30 years of experience. I'm authorized." "You're a consultant," Blackwell interrupted. "Part-time, night shift. Your contract specifies supply management and administrative support, not surgical intervention. A 7-year-old was dying. A 7-year-old was being treated by the attending physician. Dr. Lancaster is fully qualified." Dr. Lancaster was frozen. That child had 4 minutes before cardiac arrest. Blackwell closed the folder, folded his hands on top of it. The gesture was deliberate, final. "Dr. Thorne, let me be direct. You're 62 years old. You have a significant physical impairment that affects your mobility. The hospital's liability insurance rates increase substantially when we employ surgeons with your limitations." The word hung in the air like smoke from a gun barrel. Limitations. Helena looked at him, really looked at him, saw the fear under the corporate polish, the insecurity, the desperate need to control things that frightened him. She'd seen that look before. On young lieutenants who sent soldiers to die rather than admit they didn't know what they were doing. "My prosthetic leg has never compromised a surgery," Helena said. "Not in 28 years. That's not the point." "Then what is the point, Mr. Blackwell?" He stood, walked to the window, looked out at the parking lot like he was surveying a kingdom. "The point is that this hospital is moving forward. Modern medicine requires modern practitioners. Young doctors with current training, technological proficiency, and the physical capability to work 18-hour shifts without accommodation. I worked 30-hour shifts in the Gulf. That was 35 years ago. 33, and the human body hasn't changed, neither has trauma surgery. Blackwell turned, his face had hardened. Dr. Thorne, I'm terminating your employment contract, effective immediately. The words should have felt like a punch. Instead, they felt like confirmation, like the other shoe finally dropping after 5 years of waiting. Helena remained perfectly still. Behind her, the ER continued its distant hum. Somewhere monitors beeped. Someone laughed. Life continued oblivious and uncaring. The little girl's name is Emma, Helena said quietly. She has a punctured lung from a rebar through her back. Without immediate decompression, she would have died before reaching the OR. The man is named Robert Chen. Cardiac arrest caused by hyperkalemia from his dialysis. He needed compressions, not cardioversion. The teenager is Marcus Williams, severed femoral artery. He's in surgery right now because someone stopped the bleeding. I'm aware, do you know their names or are they just liability statistics in your spreadsheet? Blackwell's jaw clenched. Please turn in your badge and access card. Helena reached for her lanyard. The badge hung heavy laminated plastic with her photo from 5 years ago. Younger, less gray, still smiling back when she thought this place might matter. She set it on his desk. The plastic made a sharp click against the wood. I have personal items in my locker. Someone will mail them to you. There's a photograph, my husband. I'll personally ensure you receive everything. Helena nodded once, turned toward the door. Her prosthetic gave a barely audible mechanical hum as she moved. Once, twice, 3 times. She was reaching for the door handle when Blackwell's phone rang. Not his cell phone, the secure line. The black phone on his desk that Helena had never heard ring before. Blackwell's hand froze halfway to the receiver. His face went pale. Actually pale, like someone had opened a valve and drained all the blood. He picked up the phone. Blackwell. Helena watched his expression change. Fear first, then confusion, then something worse. Something that looked like a man realizing he'd made a catastrophic mistake. Yes, he said. His voice had gone thin. Yes, she's here right now. He looked at Helena, his hand trembled. I understand, of course, right away. He hung up, stared at the phone like it might explain itself. Dr. Thorne, his voice cracked on her name. I need you to remain in the building. Helena's training activated before her conscious mind processed the words. Remain in the building meant something was coming, something immediate, something that couldn't wait for bureaucracy. Why, I don't know. That was JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command. They're sending someone. The distant sound reached them then, faint at first, a rhythmic thumping that Helena's body recognized before her mind did. Helicopter. Her hand went instinctively to where her injury was. Not the prosthetic. The phantom pain that still lived where her real leg used to be. The pain that woke her at 3 a.m., sometimes screaming about a field hospital in Kosovo that no longer existed. Blackwell heard it too, his head turned toward the window. What is that? Helena knew exactly what it was. The sound of rotor blades cutting through night air. The sound of extraction. The sound of her old life refusing to stay buried. The windows began to vibrate. 45 minutes later, after the chaos of evacuation protocols and security confusion and staff panic after Blackwell had tried and failed to maintain control of a situation spinning beyond his comprehension, the helicopter finally touched down on Mercy General's rooftop helipad. Helena stood in the stairwell watching through the small window as 4 men in full tactical gear emerged from the aircraft. Navy SEALs. She recognized the equipment, the posture, the way they moved like water, finding the fastest route downhill. The team leader was maybe 38, white a scar cutting across his jaw like someone had tried to remove his face and given up halfway. Lieutenant Commander rank insignia. His eyes scanned the rooftop cataloging threats, evaluating exits, processing information at combat speed. The ER had erupted into chaos for the second time that night. Nurses ran to the windows. Patients in the waiting room stood craning necks to see. Someone shouted something about a helicopter. Someone else shouted about getting away from the glass. Helena walked back into the ER, moved through the crowd with purpose. Her prosthetic carried her steady, unwavering. Dr. Lancaster appeared beside her. Dr. Thorne, what's happening? I don't know. Is this normal? Helena thought about that question, thought about every helicopter she'd ever heard. Medevac birds in the Gulf, Transport choppers in the Balkans. The one in Kosovo that had taken her out after the bombing leg destroyed Miranda dead. Everything she'd known turned to smoke and blood. "No," she said, "this isn't normal." The stairwell door burst open. The four men in tactical gear emerged. The team leader's eyes found Helena immediately. He walked straight toward her. Past Dr. Lancaster, past the nurses, past Blackwell, who'd followed Helena into the ER and now stood frozen like a man watching his career detonate in real time. The SEAL stopped 3 feet away, came to attention, saluted. "Ma'am." Helena's body responded before her mind caught up. Decades of military training. She returned the salute, sharp, crisp, the way she'd been taught at Fort Sam Houston when she was 22 years old and thought she'd save the world one soldier at a time. "At ease, Commander." He dropped the salute but didn't relax. "Lieutenant Commander Braddock Kane, SEAL Team 3. We have a critical situation." Behind him, 3 more SEALs wheeled in a gurney. The patient on it was maybe 24 years old, white blood-soaked, deep U.S. pressure bandages on his right thigh. His face was gray, his breathing shallow. Helena moved before Kane finished talking. Her hands found the patient's neck, checking pulse. Thready, fast, shock protocol. "What happened?" "Ma'am, Lieutenant Ryan Hackett was attacked approximately 90 minutes ago. Laceration to the femoral artery. We've maintained pressure-administered combat gauze, 2 units of O positive. He's stable but deteriorating." Helena pulled back the bandage. The wound was precise. Too precise. This wasn't combat trauma. This wasn't an accident. This was surgical. Someone had cut this boy open with the intent to kill him slowly, to make it look like a tragic injury, to give enough time for distance but not enough for survival. Helena had seen wounds like this before. Kosovo, a CIA operative named Phillips. Someone had tried to kill him quietly, make it look like shrapnel. She'd saved him. 3 hours later, the field hospital exploded. She looked up at Kane. "Where was he attacked?" "That's classified, ma'am." "Was it in the field?" Kane's jaw tightened. "Just slightly." "No, ma'am." "Was it inside a secure facility?" A longer pause. "Yes, ma'am." Helena stood. Her mind was already moving, processing, calculating. "He needs surgery, vascular repair, possible thrombectomy. I can have him in OR2 in 15 minutes. "Negative, ma'am. We need to transport him." "He won't survive transport." "He won't survive here." The words landed like artillery, heavy, unavoidable. Helena looked at Kane, saw the calculation in his eyes, the assessment. He was weighing variables she couldn't see. Threat matrices, risk profiles. The kind of math that soldiers did when the mission mattered more than the individual. "You think whoever cut him will try again," Helena said. "Here, in this hospital." Kane didn't confirm or deny. Didn't need to. Dr. Lancaster pushed forward. "Excuse me, who authorized military personnel to—" "Step back, sir," one of the other SEALs said. Polite, firm, the kind of firmness that came with a rifle slung across his chest. Blackwell found his voice. "This is highly irregular. I need to contact hospital security and—" Kane turned, looked at Blackwell, said nothing. The look was enough. The look that said, "You are irrelevant. You are an obstacle. Move or be moved." Blackwell moved. Kane turned back to Helena. "Ma'am, we were told there's only one surgeon who's performed this specific procedure under combat conditions. We were told you're that surgeon." Helena looked at the boy on the gurney. Hackett, 24 years old, probably had a family, probably had plans, probably thought he was safe on a military base surrounded by people who were supposed to protect him. "Who told you about me?" "That's classified, ma'am." "Who tried to kill Lieutenant Hackett?" "Also classified." "Then why am I here?" Kane stepped closer, dropped his voice. "Because he asked for you. By name. Said you were the only one he trusts." Helena's blood went cold. "Mais c'est toi." "I've never met him. He knows who you are, ma'am," and he said 2 words before he lost consciousness. Kane's eyes held hers, hard, serious. "Mercy, General." The ER tilted, just slightly, just enough for Helena to feel the ground shift beneath her. "Mercy, General. This hospital, the place that just fired her. The place where someone was running an operation so dark that military personnel were being targeted inside secure facilities." She looked at Blackwell, saw him go pale, saw him understand that whatever was happening, it was bigger than hospital politics, bigger than liability insurance and budget spreadsheets. "Mr. Blackwell," Helena said quietly, "you just fired me. Dr. Thorne, I think there's been a misunderstanding, so I'm no longer employed by this hospital, which means I can't treat patients here." She turned to Kane. But I can provide medical consultation to military personnel under emergency field conditions. Kane's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes shifted. Respect. Understanding. Yes, ma'am, you can. Helena looked at the boy bleeding on the gurney, looked at the SEALs standing ready, looked at the helicopter, waiting on the roof, rotors still spinning, ready to take her somewhere she probably shouldn't go. 30 years ago, she would have thought about it, would have weighed pros and cons, would have called David, asked his opinion, made a safe choice. But David was dead, and the Army had taught her a long time ago that safe choices don't save lives. Commander Kane, she said, what's the timeline? 0 minutes, ma'am. We need to lift off now. Helena turned to Dr. Lancaster. The little girl, Emma, chest tube insertion, admit to pediatric ICU. The cardiac arrest patient needs cardiology consult in the morning. The femoral artery repair is in OR3. Dr. Brenner will close. Lancaster nodded, speechless. Emma Fitzgerald, the young nurse who'd been watching Helena all night, stepped forward. Dr. Thorne, wait, you can't just... Helena met her eyes, saw something there. Recognition, understanding. This girl knew something, had been trying to tell her something. I'll be back, Helena said. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Be careful. An odd thing to say, unless Emma knew exactly how much danger Helena was walking into. Kane gestured toward the stairwell. This way, ma'am. Helena followed. Her prosthetic hummed softly with each step. Once, twice, 20 times. The sound barely audible in the stairwell as they climbed. Behind her, the ER erupted in whispers. Who is she? Where are they taking her? What the hell is happening? Helena didn't look back. The roof access door opened into wind and noise. The helicopter sat like a mechanical dragon, rotors spinning side door. Open interior lights, red and dim. Kane helped her up. She didn't need the help, but she took it anyway. Protocol. Inside the helicopter was all business. Medical equipment, radio gear, 3 more personnel. And Lieutenant Hackett on the stretcher, pale as death, eyes closed. Helena strapped into the jump seat, reached for the medical kit, started checking supplies. The youngest SEAL, maybe 23, watched her with wide eyes. Ma'am, I'm Corporal Tyler Brennan. I'll assist however you need. Can you hold pressure on a wound while we're airborne? Yes, ma'am. Can you follow instructions exactly? No questions, no hesitation. Yes, ma'am. Then we'll be fine. The helicopter lifted. The hospital fell away below them. Helena could see Blackwell in his office window, backlit, a silhouette of a man who just realized he'd fired the wrong person at exactly the wrong time. The city spread out beneath them. Boston at midnight, lights and darkness. Life and death happening simultaneously in 1,000 places. Kane sat across from her helmet on eyes sharp. ETA to Norfolk Naval Medical is 40 minutes, ma'am. Helena was examining Hackett's wound. The bleeding had slowed, but not stopped. The combat gauze was saturated. He needed surgery, soon. He won't make 40 minutes, she said. We don't have a closer option, ma'am. Helena looked up, met Kane's eyes. Then we operate in flight. Silence. Even over the rotor noise, the silence was profound. Ma'am, that's possible, difficult, dangerous, I know, but it's his only chance. Kane looked at Hackett, looked at Helena, made a calculation. What do you need? In clear space, steady hands, and everyone to hold very still, and pray we don't hit turbulence. 35,000 feet below, clouds rolled past like smoke. The helicopter vibrated with mechanical rhythm, a heartbeat of metal and fuel. Helena worked in the red light hands, moving with the precision of 3 decades. Tyler held the retractor. Didn't flinch, didn't speak, just held. Good kid. He'd be fine if he survived whatever was coming. The femoral artery was a mess. Whoever had cut it knew exactly what they were doing, knew how to make it look accidental, knew how to ensure slow bleeding, maximum suffering, eventual death. Helena had seen this before. Kosovo. Agent Phillips. The memory tried to surface, but she pushed it down. No time for memory, no time for anything except the millimeter of tissue under her fingertips. She clamped, sutured, tied. Her prosthetic locked against the deck, giving her stability. The helicopter lurched. She didn't. The leg held. Thank you, titanium. Thank you, engineering. Thank you, whoever designed this thing to be more reliable than flesh. 15 minutes later, she sat back, breathing hard, blood on her gloves, success tasting like copper and adrenaline. He's stable. Tyler exhaled. His hands were shaking now that it was over. Delayed stress response. Normal. Good job, Corporal. Thank you, ma'am. Kane leaned forward. Doctor. Thorne, while you were operating, Lieutenant Hackett woke up briefly. He said something you need to hear. Helena looked at the unconscious boy. What did he say? He said, Dr. Thorne, you're alive. Kane paused. Ma'am, how would he know you? I don't know. He also said Balkans, 1998. They said you died. Helena's hand stopped moving, just for a second, just long enough for the world to tilt again. Balkans, 1998, Kosovo, the field hospital. Agent Phillips, the bombing, Miranda dying, her leg crushed, everything ending. I nearly did die, Helena said quietly. Kane was watching her carefully now. Ma'am, what happened in Kosovo? That's a long story, Commander. We have 30 minutes to Norfolk. Helena looked at Hackett, at this boy who somehow knew her, who somehow knew about the worst day of her life, who somehow connected that day to this moment. Commander, where was Lieutenant Hackett stationed before his attack? Classified. What was his mission? Classified. What did he discover that made someone try to kill him? Kane's jaw tightened. Ma'am, I can't. The radio crackled. The pilot's voice cut through. Command, this is Raven 3 reporting, static. Then a different voice, cold, official, not asking, commanding. Raven 3, you are ordered to divert to coordinates 37942. Immediate compliance. Kane sat up. Negative control. We have a critical casualty requiring urgent. Lieutenant Commander Kane, this is not a request. Divert now. The helicopter banked. Hard. Helena grabbed the medical kit before it slid. Tyler caught the IV bag. Control, we need to reach Norfolk Naval Medical. Patient is critical status. Your patient will receive care at the alternate location. Kane's hand moved to his sidearm. Subtle, but Helena saw it. Saw him calculating whether to override the pilot, whether to commit mutiny, whether the mission was worth dying for. The helicopter turned away from the coastline, away from Norfolk, away from the lights of civilization, toward darkness, toward empty ocean, toward coordinates that weren't on any map. Helena checked her watch. 23 minutes since they'd lifted off from Mercy General. 23 minutes since her life had been normal, or as normal as it got for a fired surgeon with a prosthetic leg and too many ghosts. She looked at Kane. He was staring at the GPS display, watching the coordinates change, watching them fly towards something he didn't understand and couldn't control. Commander, Helena said quietly, what's at those coordinates? I don't know, ma'am. But you're worried. He met her eyes. Yes, ma'am, I'm very worried. Hackett stirred, his eyes fluttered open, unfocused, drugged, but seeing. Doctor, Thorne, he whispered. Helena leaned close. I'm here, Lieutenant. You're safe. No, his hand grabbed her wrist, weak, desperate. Not safe, they're still inside. Who's inside? Where? Mercy General. His eyes closed, opened, struggled to focus. They're harvesting, taking organs, soldiers, making them disappear. Kane leaned in. Who's they, Lieutenant? Don't know, but the administrator, Blackwell, he knows. He's part of it. Helena's blood went cold. Vincent Blackwell, the man who'd fired her, the man who'd been so desperate to get rid of her. Not because of her leg, because of what she might discover. Lieutenant who tried to kill you. Doctor. Hackett's breathing was labored. Inside the base, wore scrubs, had credentials, said he was doing a follow-up exam, then he cut me and smiled. His fingers tightened on Helena's wrist. He smiled like it was surgery, like I was just tissue, just meat. The helicopter descended. Helena looked out the window, saw nothing but darkness, no lights, no landing pad, just an empty stretch of cracked concrete surrounded by trees. This wasn't a medical facility. This wasn't Norfolk. This was nowhere. Commander Kane, Helena said, I think we've been redirected into a trap. Kane already had his weapon out. Team combat ready, defensive positions. The three SEALs moved instantly. Weapons up, scanning, professional. But Helena could see the tension in their shoulders. 4 operators against an unknown threat. Not good odds. The helicopter touched down. Rotors still spinning, emergency lights flashing against trees. 2 black SUVs waited at the edge of the concrete, engines running, headlights off. No medical team, no ambulances, no facility, just vehicles. And waiting. The side door opened. Cold air rushed in, wind and night and the smell of pine trees. A woman stepped out of the lead SUV, 50-something white civilian clothes but military posture. She walked toward them like she owned the night. Kane's weapon tracked her. Identify yourself. The woman stopped 10 feet away, hands visible, no weapon. But something about her screamed dangerous. "Lieutenant Commander Kane," she said. Her voice cut through the rotor noise like a blade. "I'm Commander Rebecca Walsh, Naval Intelligence. Stand down." Kane didn't lower his weapon. "Ma'am, I need to verify." Walsh held up credentials, real ones. Helena could tell from 20 feet away. Kane lowered his weapon fractionally. "Commander, we were ordered to Norfolk. Plans change." Walsh looked at Helena. "Dr. Thorne, we need to talk. Your patient will receive care after we talk." It wasn't a request. Helena looked at Hackett, at this boy who'd nearly died, who'd tried to warn her, who'd connected her to something that happened 28 years ago in a country that didn't exist anymore. She looked at Kane, at Tyler, at the team of SEALs who'd brought her here without knowing why, without understanding that they were all pawns in something much bigger. She thought about David, about what he would say. But David was dead, and his opinion didn't matter anymore. She thought about Miranda, about the field hospital in Kosovo, about the explosion that killed her best friend and took her leg and started everything that led to this moment. She thought about Emma Fitzgerald's eyes. "Be careful. Too late for that." "Corporal Brennan," Helena said, "stay with Lieutenant Hackett. Keep him stable. If he crashes, you know what to do." "Ma'am, where are you? Just keep him alive. That's an order." She stepped out of the helicopter. Her prosthetic hummed with each step against the concrete. Once, twice, solid, reliable, carrying her toward Commander Walsh and whatever fresh hell waited in those SUVs. Walsh gestured toward the lead vehicle. "This way, Doctor." "Am I under arrest?" "No. You're being read in." "To what?" Walsh's expression didn't change. "To why Lieutenant Hackett knows your name. To why someone tried to kill him in a secure facility. To why 32 military personnel have disappeared through Mercy General Hospital over the past 4 years." Helena stopped walking. 32. That we know of, could be more. Walsh opened the SUV door. "Dr. Thorne, you just performed surgery on a man who was investigating an organ trafficking network. A network that's been operating since 2005. A network that killed Agent Phillips in Kosovo." The name landed like a bomb. Agent Phillips, the CIA operative. The man Helena had been operating on when the field hospital exploded. The man who'd whispered something about corruption, about bodies, about secrets that couldn't be allowed to live. "Phillips died in the bombing," Helena said. "We all did. I just happened to survive." "No, Dr. Thorne. Agent Phillips was murdered. By surgical precision. 3 hours before the hospital exploded." Walsh's eyes were hard, cold. "The bombing was cleanup. You were collateral damage, but you survived, which means you're the only witness left alive." Helena's prosthetic suddenly felt heavy, too heavy, like it was made of lead instead of titanium. Witness to what? To the beginning, to when this operation started. To when a rogue surgeon named Garrison Reeves realized he could make millions selling organs on the black market. Walsh stepped closer. "Dr. Thorne, you trained with Reeves. You were residents together at Walter Reed. You know him." The name echoed in Helena's memory. Garrison Reeves, brilliant, ambitious, charming. They'd been friends once. Before Kosovo, before everything. "Reeves was dishonorably discharged," Helena said, 20 years ago. "And he's been operating underground ever since. Mercy General is his flagship. 12 hospitals, 8 states, $2 billion over 20 years. Walsh handed Helena a tablet. "These are the victims we've identified. Military personnel, psych discharges, anyone society wouldn't miss." Helena scrolled through the faces. Young men, young women, all in uniform, all smiling in their photos, all dead now, harvested, discarded, forgotten. One face stopped her. Miranda Ashford, age 34, Army surgeon, killed in action, Kosovo, 1998. "Miranda," Helena whispered. She discovered the early version of this network. She was going to report it. Reeves couldn't allow that. Walsh's voice softened slightly. "I'm sorry, Dr. Thorne. Your friend was murdered, and you were supposed to die with her." The tablet slipped from Helena's fingers. Tyler caught it. When had he arrived? When had Helena stopped being aware of her surroundings? Shock. Combat shock. She'd seen it in others, never felt it herself, not like this. Walsh continued talking. Helena heard words. Infiltration, evidence, undercover, risk. But they were distant, underwater, muffled. Miranda, dead because she'd tried to do the right thing. Dead because she'd discovered that someone was turning soldiers into commodities. Dead because Helena hadn't protected her. "Dr. Thorne." Helena looked up. Walsh was holding something, a small device, pen-sized. This is a panic beacon. One press alerts us, two presses triggers extraction. But understand something. Walsh's eyes held Helena's. If you press it too early, we lose the network. If you press it too late, you die. What are you asking me to do? Go back to Mercy General, undercover, new identity, find Reeves, get evidence we can use in court. He'll recognize me. Not if you're Dr. Evelyn Cross. Transfer from Seattle Presbyterian, different hair, different contacts, different person. Helena laughed. It came out harsh, bitter. You want me to go back to the hospital that just fired me and infiltrate an organ trafficking ring run by a man I used to trust. A man who tried to kill me once already. Yes. And if he recognizes me, then we extract you, if we can. And if you can't, Walsh didn't answer. Didn't need to. Helena looked at the helicopter, at Hackett unconscious on the stretcher, at Tyler standing guard, at Kane and his team, weapons ready protecting a surgeon they barely knew. She looked at the tablet, at Miranda's photo, at her friend's smile, at all the victims who died because no one stopped this. She thought about David, about the bullet he'd put in his own head because the PTSD wouldn't stop, because the VA couldn't help, because society had used him up and thrown him away like trash. She thought about her prosthetic leg, about the pain that still woke her at night, about the ghost of a limb that no longer existed but refused to stop hurting. She thought about what it meant to be a surgeon, to take an oath, to promise to do no harm, to save lives even when it cost everything. When do I start? Walsh almost smiled. Almost. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., you'll enter as Dr. Evelyn Cross. We'll have credentials, backstory, everything you need. What about tonight? Tonight you're dead. Officially, the helicopter you were on crashed en route to Norfolk. No survivors. That gives us cover. Gives Reeves confidence. Helena looked at Kane. Commander, you're going to falsify a crash report. Ma'am, I'm going to do whatever it takes to stop 32 murders from becoming 33. Fair enough. Helena took the beacon, slipped it into her pocket. Commander Walsh, I have one condition. Name it. When this is over, when Reeves is in custody, I want Miranda Ashford's name cleared. She wasn't killed in action. She was murdered investigating a crime. She deserves that recognition. Walsh nodded. Agreed. And I want, the window behind Walsh exploded. Glass, gunfire, chaos. Kane was moving before Helena's mind processed what was happening. Contact, get her down. Helena hit the concrete, felt her prosthetic scrape against gravel. Tyler threw himself over her. Noble. Stupid. His body armor would stop bullets. Her body wouldn't. Gunfire erupted from the tree line, multiple shooters. Automatic weapons. Professional. Kane's team returned fire. Muzzle flashes in the darkness. The distinctive crack of M4 rifles. Walsh was on her radio. Raven 3, get airborne extract, extract, extract. The helicopter rotors spun up. Dust and wind and noise. Dr. Thorne. Tyler pulled her up. Move now. Helena ran. Her prosthetic pounded the concrete. No hesitation. No failure. Just motion. Behind her, someone screamed. One of Kane's team. Hit. Tyler pushed her toward a ditch at the edge of the clearing. Go. I'll cover. Corporal, you can't. Ma'am, I didn't survive Kandahar to let a surgeon die in New Hampshire. Go. Helena went, slid into the ditch, felt mud and cold water, scrambled through underbrush, branches tearing at her clothes, her prosthetic catching on roots. Behind her, gunfire intensified, then faded, then stopped. Silence. Terrible silence. Helena crouched in the ditch, breathing hard, heart pounding, listening, footsteps, multiple, searching. A voice, male, calm. Find the woman. She's wounded. Can't have gone far. Helena looked at her leg, blood, but not hers, Tyler's. He'd been hit protecting her. She pressed deeper into the underbrush, found a fallen log, crawled under it, moss and rot and the smell of dead things. The footsteps came closer, flashlights cutting through darkness. Here, blood trail. Helena's hand found the panic beacon in her pocket. 2 presses. Extraction. But Tyler was back there. Kane's team was back there. If she called extraction, she abandoned them. She thought about Miranda, about Phillips, about 32 dead soldiers whose names she didn't know. She thought about what David would say. He'd say survive, because the dead can't fight. The dead can't expose the truth. The dead are just names on a list. Helena pressed the beacon once. Alert. Not extraction. Then she took off her prosthetic leg. The footsteps stopped nearby. Lost the trail. She can't be far. Spread out. Helena waited until they moved past, counted to 30, then crawled out from under the log. One-legged, dragging herself through mud, following the sound of running water. A stream, half a mile east. She'd seen it on the helicopter approach. Water meant she could move without leaving tracks. It took 20 minutes to reach the stream. 20 minutes of dragging herself through forest, her arms screaming. Her stump bleeding where the prosthetic socket had rubbed raw. She slid into the water. Cold, so cold it stopped her breath. But cold meant alive. Cold meant not captured. Cold meant she could still fight. Helena let the current take her downstream. Away from the gunfire, away from the trap, away from Commander Walsh and Kane and Tyler and everyone who tried to protect her. She floated in darkness, staring at stars, thinking about how many ways a person could die, how many times she'd already died and somehow kept living. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, waterproof case, military grade. Thank you, Walsh. Text message, unknown number. Farmhouse, 2 miles southeast. GPS coordinates attached. Move now, they're hunting you. Helena looked at the coordinates, memorized them, deleted the message. Then she started swimming. One-legged, exhausted, bleeding, but alive. Still alive. And somewhere out there, Garrison Reeves was waiting, thinking she was dead, thinking he'd won. He was wrong. Helena Thorne had died once before, in Kosovo, in fire and blood and the screams of her best friend. She'd come back from that. She could come back from this. The farmhouse appeared through morning fog like something out of a memory. 2 stories, white paint, peeling in long strips, surrounded by overgrown fields that had once grown something useful. The GPS coordinates had led Helena here after 3 hours of crawling through forest, her prosthetic leg retrieved from the stream and reattached but damaged grinding with each movement. The front door opened before Helena reached the porch. Commander Rebecca Walsh stood in the doorway, coffee mug in hand, looking like she'd slept 8 hours instead of spending the night coordinating a firefight. Dr. Thorne, you look terrible. Helena limped past her into the farmhouse. Inside was controlled chaos. Laptops on folding tables. Maps taped to walls with red markers circling locations. Radio equipment humming softly. 3 analysts working screens tracking things Helena couldn't see. And in the corner on a cot under surgical lamps, Lieutenant Ryan Hackett, breathing, alive. IV in his arm. Corporal Brennan got him here, Walsh said. Lost his spotter in Kandahar, blamed himself for 2 years. Last night he saved 2 lives. Yours and Hackett's. Helena walked to Hackett's cot, checked his vitals. Pulse steady, color better. Whoever had managed his care knew their business. Where's Kane? Securing the perimeter with what's left of his team. We lost Sergeant Alex Martinez. Took 3 rounds covering your escape. Walsh's voice remained factual. No emotion, just information. He has a wife, 2 kids, 7 and 9, Isabella and Noah. Helena's hand stopped moving. Martinez. She hadn't even known his first name. Hadn't known what he looked like without the helmet. Hadn't known anything except that he'd died because she'd gotten in a helicopter. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be useful. Walsh set down her coffee, pulled up a chair. We have 18 hours before you walk into Mercy General as Dr. Evelyn Cross. Let's make them count. Helena sat. Her prosthetic throbbed where the socket had cracked. She'd need to repair it. Later. After whatever Walsh was about to say. Last night's attack wasn't random, Walsh began. Someone knew we were extracting Hackett. Someone knew our flight path. Someone knew the diversion coordinates. Inside job. At JSOC level, that's the only explanation. Walsh opened a laptop, showed Helena an organizational chart. Names, ranks, command structure. 17 people had access to that information. We are vetting all of them. But it takes time. How much time? More than we have. Walsh closed the laptop. Which is why we're proceeding with the infiltration. You go in today, new identity, new face. Find Reeves before he realizes you survived. Helena looked at the maps on the wall. Mercy General Hospital, floor plans, security camera positions, entry points marked in red. You've been planning this for a while. 6 months, ever since Hackett stumbled onto the patient transfer records. Walsh stood, walked to the map. We know Reeves is running the operation. We know Blackwell is involved. We know there's a surgical wing in the basement that doesn't appear on any hospital blueprint. What we don't know is how deep it goes. How many doctors, how many hospitals, how many victims. You said 32. Confirmed. Could be hundreds. Walsh pointed to a list of names on the wall. These are military personnel who went missing over the past 20 years. All of them passed through civilian hospitals for treatment. All of them disappeared. No bodies, no investigations, just gone. Helena stood, walked to the list, read names, ages, ranks. Corporal James Mitchell, age 24, missing 2019. Sergeant Maria Gonzalez, age 29, missing 2017. Private First Class David Thorne, age. Helena stopped breathing. David Thorne, her husband's name. Same rank, same age he'd been when he'd gone to the VA hospital for the last time. 3 weeks before he'd put a gun in his mouth. That's not him, Helena said. Her voice sounded wrong, distant. That's not David. Walsh was beside her. Dr. Thorne, David killed himself, PTSD. I found him, I buried him. That's not him. It's not your David. It's David Thorne from Michigan, Army Ranger, served 2 tours in Afghanistan, went to VA hospital in Detroit for treatment, never came home. Helena's legs felt weak. The prosthetic wasn't helping. Nothing was helping. When 2021, 5 years ago, the same year David had died. The same year Helena had buried her husband and realized she was alone, that the Army had taken everything from her. Her leg, her friends, her future, and apparently it had taken other people's husbands too. Dr. Thorne, Walsh's voice was gentle as it could be. I know this is hard, but we need you focused. Can you do this? Helena looked at the name. David Thorne, not her David, but someone's David. Someone's husband or son or brother. Yes. Are you sure? Helena turned, met Walsh's eyes. Commander, I've been doing this job since I was 22 years old. I've operated under mortar fire. I've amputated limbs without anesthesia. I've held soldiers while they died and lied to them that it would be okay. I can walk into a hospital and pretend to be someone I'm not. This isn't just pretending. If Reeves recognizes you, he won't. If he does, then I'll deal with it. Helena's jaw set. Commander, you asked me if I could do this. The answer is yes. Now show me how to be Dr. Evelyn Cross. Walsh studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Follow me. They walked upstairs. The second floor had been converted into an operations center. More laptops, more maps, and a mirror. Walsh gestured to a chair. Sit. Helena sat. A woman appeared from the next room. 30s white, carrying a makeup kit that looked more tactical than cosmetic. I'm Sarah Vance, CIA disguise specialist. I'm going to make you invisible. For the next 2 hours, Sarah worked, cut Helena's gray hair shorter, dyed it auburn with subtle highlights, applied contact lenses that changed her eyes from gray to hazel, showed her how to alter her posture, her gait, her speech patterns. You're from Seattle, Sarah said. Born and raised, University of Washington for undergrad, medical school at UCSF, residency at Seattle Presbyterian, fellowship in vascular surgery at Stanford. You've been practicing for 30 years, but you've spent most of your career on the West Coast. East Coast medical culture is new to you. Helena repeated the biography, memorized details, Seattle neighborhoods, UCSF professors, Stanford hospital layouts. What about my leg? Keep it. It's part of your cover. Sarah showed Helena a modified prosthetic. This one has a GPS tracker, also a listening device. And if you press this button, she indicated a small depression near the knee joint. It sends an SOS signal. Redundant, I have the beacon. Redundancy keeps you alive. Sarah packed up her kit. Dr. Evelyn Cross doesn't have a family. No husband, no children. Her parents died in a car accident in 2015. She's alone. That's important. Alone means no one to use as leverage. Helena looked in the mirror. A stranger looked back. Same face but different. The auburn hair softened her features. The hazel eyes were warmer. The slight change in posture made her seem less military, more civilian. Dr. Evelyn Cross, surgeon, loner, ready to be useful. I need to practice walking, Helena said. The new prosthetic has different weight distribution. You have 4 hours. Use them. Helena spent those 4 hours walking the farmhouse perimeter, getting used to the leg, the slight difference in balance, the way it moved more smoothly without the grinding sound. Tyler Brennan found her on the third lap. His shoulder was bandaged, his face was pale, but he was standing. Ma'am, glad you made it. Corporal, you should be resting. I'll rest when this is over. He walked beside her, matching her pace. Commander Walsh briefed me. You're going undercover. Yes. That's insane. Probably. They walked in silence for a moment. The morning sun was climbing. Birds sang. Normal sounds in an abnormal situation. My spotter in Kandahar was named Jason Chen, Tyler said quietly. We'd been together for 2 years. Knew each other's kids' names, knew each other's favorite movies, knew exactly how the other one thought. He stopped walking. There was an IED. I saw it. Called it out. But Jason didn't hear me. Radio malfunction. He stepped on it. Died instantly. Helena stopped, looked at him. I blamed myself for 2 years, Tyler continued. Thought if I'd yelled louder, run faster, done something different. But Commander Kane told me something that helped. He met Helena's eyes. He said, you can't save everyone, but you can honor them by saving the next one. Martinez wasn't the next one. He was just another name on the list. No, ma'am, he was a warrior who died protecting someone worth protecting. That's not a casualty. That's a choice. Tyler's voice was firm. You're going into that hospital to stop more soldiers from dying. Martinez would have wanted that. So do I. Helena didn't know what to say, so she said nothing, just nodded. Tyler saluted. She returned it. He walked back toward the farmhouse. Helena continued walking. Getting used to the leg, getting used to being someone else. At noon, Walsh called her inside. Time to review the mission. You start at 6 a.m. tomorrow, Walsh said. New hire orientation. You'll spend the first day doing paperwork, meeting staff, touring the facility. Act normal. Don't investigate. Don't ask questions. Just be a new doctor learning the environment. When do I start looking for Reeves? When he comes to you, and he will. He's head of transplant surgery. He reviews all new surgical hires. You'll have a meeting with him sometime in the first week. And if he recognizes me, Walsh handed Helena a small syringe. This is a fast-acting sedative. If you're compromised, inject him, press the beacon twice, and get to the roof. We'll extract via helicopter. Like last night. Last night was compromised. Tomorrow won't be. I'm running the extraction personally. No JSOC involvement. No chain of command. Just my team. Helena pocketed the syringe. What about Hackett? Is he awake? Intermittently, he's lucid enough to talk. Want to see him? Yes. They walked downstairs. Hackett was awake, staring at the ceiling. When he saw Helena, his eyes widened. Dr. Thorne, they said you were dead. Helena sat beside his cot. I'm hard to kill, Lieutenant. I remember Kosovo. You saved Agent Phillips. Everyone said you died in the bombing, but I saw the classified report. You survived. Lost your leg. Disappeared. How do you know about Kosovo? Hackett's expression darkened. Because I was investigating something similar. Soldiers disappearing. I traced the pattern back. Found a connection to a field hospital bombing in 1998. Found your name in the report. Found Agent Phillips's investigation notes. Phillips was CIA. His notes should be sealed. They were, but I'm good at finding things. Hackett struggled to sit up. Helena helped him. Dr. Thorne, this goes deeper than organ trafficking. Phillips wasn't just investigating black market sales. He was investigating a systematic elimination program, getting rid of soldiers who knew too much, who saw too much, who couldn't be trusted to stay quiet. Helena's blood ran cold. Elimination program. Codename Clean Slate. Started in the 90s after the Gulf War. The idea was simple. Soldiers with PTSD, with classified knowledge with potential security risks, they'd be flagged, sent for treatment, and they'd disappear. Hackett's hands shook. Phillips found evidence that hundreds of soldiers were killed, their organs sold to fund black ops, their deaths covered up as suicides or accidents or combat casualties. Walsh stepped forward. Lieutenant, we've been over this. Clean slate is a theory. We have no hard evidence. Because everyone who has evidence died, Hackett shot back. Phillips died. Dr. Ashford died. 32 soldiers died. How much evidence do you need? Evidence that would hold up in court, not conspiracy theories. Hackett looked at Helena. Dr. Ashford was your friend, right? Yes. She left you something. In your locker at Mercy General. That's why I told them to bring you. That's why I said your name. His eyes were intense, desperate. She hid evidence before she died. Evidence of clean slate. Evidence that could bring down everyone involved. Helena's heart was pounding. How do you know this? Because I talked to her 2 months before Kosovo. She contacted me through encrypted channels. Said she was investigating something. Said if anything happened to her, there was a failsafe. A package hidden at Mercy General for someone named Helena Thorne. The room went silent. Walsh broke it. Lieutenant, you're saying doctor. Ashford predicted her own death and hid evidence 28 years ago. I'm saying she knew she was in danger, and she knew Dr. Thorne would eventually come looking. Hackett coughed, winced. Dr. Thorne, when you go into that hospital, check your old locker. Maintenance never cleared it. I verified. Your stuff is still there. Helena stood, walked to the window, stared at the overgrown fields. Miranda, planning ahead, leaving breadcrumbs, trusting that Helena would survive, would come back, would find the truth. Commander Walsh, Helena said quietly, I need to go in tonight, not tomorrow. Negative, too risky. If Hackett knows about the locker, Reeves might know too. If he hasn't searched it already, he will soon. Walsh considered, even if we get you in tonight, you can't access the locker room without credentials. I still have my old badge. It might work. It won't. Blackwell deactivated your credentials when he fired you. Helena turned, smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Then I'll find another way in. At 8 p.m., Helena stood outside Mercy General Hospital wearing scrubs stolen from a laundry service truck. Her new prosthetic moved silently as she walked toward the emergency entrance. Night shift. Chaos. No one paid attention to one more exhausted doctor walking through the doors. She kept her head down, moved with purpose. Just another surgeon coming off a long case heading to the locker room to change. The halls were familiar. Muscle memory guided her. Past the ER, past the surgical wing, down the back stairs to the basement level. The locker room was empty. Night shift was upstairs. Day shift had gone home hours ago. Helena found her locker. Number 47, same combination she'd been using for 5 years. It opened. Inside, exactly as she'd left it. Extra scrubs, a pair of running shoes, a photo of David in his uniform smiling alive, and behind the photo, hidden behind a false back panel, an envelope. Helena's hands shook as she pulled it out. Miranda's handwriting on the front. Just one word, Helena. She opened it. Inside, a letter, handwritten, dated March 15th, 1998, 3 weeks before Kosovo. Helena, if you're reading this, I'm dead, and I'm sorry. Sorry for dragging you into this. Sorry for not being brave enough to go public while I was alive. Sorry for leaving you alone. But I couldn't let them win. Couldn't let them keep killing our soldiers and calling it patriotism. I've discovered something terrible, a program called Clean Slate. It started after the Gulf War. The idea was to eliminate soldiers who posed security risks, soldiers with PTSD who might talk, soldiers with classified knowledge who might leak, soldiers who'd seen war crimes and might testify. They flag them, send them for treatment, and they disappear. The organs are harvested, sold on the black market. The money funds off-book operations. Everyone wins, except the soldiers. Agent Phillips was investigating this. He found evidence, financial records, patient lists, surgical logs. But before he could expose it, someone tried to kill him. That's why he came to our field hospital, because he trusted us, trusted you. I've hidden his evidence. I've also hidden my own investigation. Everything is in a safe deposit box in Boston, Fleet Bank branch on Boylston Street, box number 1847. The key is taped to the back of this letter. If you're reading this, it means I didn't survive. It means they got me. But it also means you did survive. And I know you, Helena. I know you won't let this go. You'll fight. You'll expose them. You'll make them pay. The man running Clean Slate is Dr. Garrison Reeves, our old friend, our mentor. He's been doing this for years, since medical school. He always said the ends justified the means. Turns out he meant it. Be careful. He's smart. He's connected. And he knows you. Knows how you think. Knows your weaknesses. But he doesn't know your strength. Doesn't know that you're the most stubborn person I've ever met. Doesn't know that you'd walk through fire to save one soldier. That's why I'm trusting you with this. That's why I know you'll finish what I started. I love you, Helena. You're my sister, my friend, my hero. Go get them. Miranda, Helena read the letter twice, then a third time. Tears were running down her face. She didn't wipe them away. Miranda, dead for 28 years, still fighting, still trusting, still believing Helena would come through. She peeled back the tape, found the key, small, silver, bank safe deposit box. She was folding the letter when the locker room door opened. Helena froze. A woman walked in. Mid-20s, white nurse's scrubs, red hair pulled back in a ponytail. She stopped when she saw Helena. Dr. Thorne. Helena's cover was blown. She was holding Miranda's letter. Standing in a locker room she shouldn't have access to, wearing stolen scrubs. The woman stepped closer. Her eyes were wide, shocked. Dr. Thorne, they said you were dead. The helicopter crash. Everyone said, who are you, Emma? Emma Fitzgerald. I'm a nurse in the ER. I was there the night you were fired, the night you saved those 3 patients. Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. Dr. Thorne, what's happening? Why are you here? Helena calculated. Fight or flight, trust or run. She chose trust. Emma, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. Okay. Do you know Dr. Garrison Reeves? Emma's face went pale. Yes. Do you trust him? No. Why not? Emma looked at the door, then back at Helena. Because 3 weeks ago I saw him in the basement, in a surgical wing that's not supposed to exist, with a patient who wasn't in the system. And when he saw me, he smiled, like it was funny, like I wasn't supposed to be alive to tell anyone. Helena's pulse quickened. Did he threaten you? No, he just said, Nurse Fitzgerald, you look lost. Let me help you find your way. And he walked me back upstairs. And ever since I've been terrified. Terrified that I saw something I shouldn't have. Terrified that I'm next. Helena made a decision. Emma, I need your help. Anything. I need you to get me into the basement, the surgical wing, tonight. Emma's eyes went wide. That's insane. They have security, cameras, locked doors. Can you do it? A long pause, then yes, but if we get caught, we won't. How do you know? Helena showed her the letter. Because someone died to give me this, and I'm not letting her death be meaningless. Emma read the letter. Her hands shook. Oh my God, this is real. This is actually happening. Yes, and I need you to decide right now if you're brave enough to help me stop it. Emma looked at Helena, at the letter, at her own shaking hands. Then she took a deep breath. My mother's sister was Dr. Miranda Ashford, Army surgeon, killed in Kosovo. I grew up hearing stories about her, about how brave she was, about how she died trying to do the right thing. She met Helena's eyes. I'm in. The basement was colder than Helena remembered. Emma led her through a maze of corridors past storage rooms and maintenance areas to a section marked Authorized Personnel Only. The code changes daily, Emma whispered. But I watched Dr. Reeves enter it yesterday. 4782. Miranda's code, still active after 28 years. Either Reeves was sentimental or careless. Helena punched in the numbers. The door clicked open. Inside was a surgical wing that shouldn't exist. 3 operating rooms, a recovery bay, equipment that was newer, better, more expensive than anything upstairs. And in the recovery bay, a patient. Helena approached carefully. Young man, early 20s, white, unconscious, fresh surgical incisions on his abdomen. The kind of incisions that come from organ removal. She checked his chart. No name, just a number. Subject 847-B. Umay was beside her. Is he alive, but they took his kidney. Helena examined the incisions. Professional work. Clean, precise. He'll survive, but he'll never know what happened. They'll tell him it was a ruptured appendix or internal bleeding. He'll believe them. Who is he? Helena found a wallet in a plastic bag on the counter. Military ID. Private First Class Nathan Cole. Army. 23 years old. He's a soldier, Helena said, and someone decided he was disposable. Emma was crying, quiet, angry tears. How many have they done this to? At least 32, probably more. Helena photographed everything. The patient, the chart, the equipment, the surgical logs on the computer. She was downloading files to a USB drive when she heard it. Footsteps, multiple sets, coming from the hallway. Emma grabbed Helena's arm. We need to go. Now. Too late. The door opened. Dr. Garrison Reeves stepped through, followed by 2 orderlies, big men, security not medical. Reeves stopped when he saw Helena. His face registered shock, then understanding, then something worse, pleasure. Helena Thorne, he said. His voice was exactly as she remembered, smooth, charming, dangerous. I heard you died in a helicopter crash. Apparently the reports were exaggerated. Helena stood her ground. Emma was shaking beside her. Garrison, it's been a long time. 28 years. You look good. Older, obviously, but good. His eyes dropped to her prosthetic. I was sorry to hear about Kosovo. Miranda's death was tragic. And you're in our, I suppose I should have visited. But we were never that close, were we? Close enough for you to try to kill me. Reeves smiled. Oh, Helena, always so dramatic. I didn't try to kill you. I tried to eliminate a security risk. Agent Phillips was a threat. You were collateral damage, nothing personal. You murdered Miranda. I eliminated a traitor, Miranda was going to expose a program that saved thousands of American lives. Clean slate wasn't a crime, it was a necessity. Helena's hands clenched. You're calling murder a necessity? I'm calling it triage. Some soldiers are worth saving. Others are liabilities. We identify the liabilities. We eliminate them. We use their organs to save people who matter. It's efficient, elegant, patriotic. It's evil. It's survival. Reeves stepped closer. Helena, you were always too soft, too emotional. That's why you never understood. Medicine isn't about feelings. It's about results. And my results have been spectacular. $2 billion over 20 years. Thousands of successful transplants. Hundreds of black ops funded. All because I was willing to do what you couldn't. What I wouldn't. Same thing. Reeves gestured to the orderlies. Secure them. We'll prep Dr. Thorne for harvest. She's in excellent health. Good organs. Someone will pay top dollar. The orderlies moved forward. Emma screamed. Helena reached for the syringe in her pocket, the fast-acting sedative. But the orderlies were faster. One grabbed her arm, twisted. The syringe fell to the floor. Helena fought, used her military training, struck at vulnerable points. But she was 62 years old. The orderly was 30, strong, professional. He pinned her against the wall. The other orderly grabbed Emma. Reeves picked up the syringe, examined it. CIA issue. Interesting. So you're working with naval intelligence. Walsh probably. She's been sniffing around for months. He pocketed the syringe. Helena, you should have stayed dead. Would have been easier. For everyone. He gestured toward the operating room. Take them to OR3. Sedate them both. I'll decide what to harvest after I make some calls. Helena struggled. Her prosthetic lashed out, caught one orderly in the knee. He stumbled. She broke free, ran, made it 3 steps before they tackled her. Her head hit the floor. Stars exploded across her vision. The last thing she heard was Reeves's voice. Calm, professional, satisfied. Welcome home, Helena. Let's finish what we started in Kosovo. Then darkness. Helena woke to voices, distant, muffled. She was moving, being wheeled somewhere. She kept her eyes closed, listened. Told you to secure the perimeter. Reeves's voice, angry now, the charm gone. We did, sir, but there was gunfire. Distant but distinct. Automatic weapons. What the hell is that? Unknown, sir. Should we? An explosion? Closer. The floor shook. Helena's eyes snapped open. She was strapped to a gurney. Emma on another gurney beside her, still unconscious. They were in a hallway outside the operating rooms. The orderlies were gone. Reeves was on his phone, face red, shouting. I don't care what it takes. Lock down the hospital. No one gets in or... Another explosion. The lights flickered. Emergency lighting kicked on. Red. Dim. Reeves looked at Helena. Saw she was awake. You called them. You called Walsh. Helena smiled. I told you, I'm not alone. The door at the end of the hallway burst open. Tyler Brennan and 3 other operators in tactical gear poured through. Weapons raised. Dr. Thorne, Tyler shouted. Cover your eyes. Helena squeezed her eyes shut. Flashbang. Even through her eyelids, the light was blinding. The sound hit like a physical blow. When she opened her eyes, Reeves was on the ground, hands zip-tied. The orderlies were gone. Tyler was at her side, cutting her restraints. Ma'am, are you hurt? I'm fine. Get Emma. Tyler moved to Emma's gurney, started cutting her free. Helena sat up, too fast. The room spun, but she forced herself to focus, to stand, to move. Reeves looked up at her from the floor. This doesn't end here, Helena. I have connections, lawyers, friends in high places. I'll be out in a week. Helena knelt down beside him. No, Garrison, you won't, because I have Miranda's evidence. I have the files from your computer. I have Nathan Cole alive and willing to testify, and I have 32 families who want justice for their murdered sons and daughters. She stood, looked at Tyler. Get him out of here. 2 operators hauled Reeves to his feet, dragged him toward the exit. Emma was awake now, confused, terrified. Helena held her hand. It's over. You're safe. Dr. Thorne, You were brave. You helped save lives. That's all that matters. Walsh appeared in the doorway. Dr. Thorne, we need to move. Hospital security is responding. We have maybe 5 minutes before local police arrive. What about Nathan Cole? Already extracted. He's on his way to Walter Reed. Good. Helena helped Emma stand. Let's go. They moved through the hospital like ghosts. Walsh's team had cut the cameras, jammed the radios. By the time security figured out what was happening, they were gone. The helicopter waited on the roof. Same Blackhawk. Different night. Better outcome. As they lifted off, Helena looked down at Mercy General, at the place that had fired her, the place that had hidden monsters in its basement, the place that would never be the same. Good. Tyler handed her a phone. Ma'am, it's Commander Kane. Helena took the phone. Commander. Dr. Thorne, good to hear your voice. We've secured Fleet Bank. Miranda's safe deposit box contained everything we need. Financial records going back 25 years. Patient lists, surgical logs, names of recipients, including 3 sitting senators and 1 federal judge. Helena closed her eyes. Miranda kept her promise. She did, and so did you. Kane paused. Martinez's wife wants to meet you. When this is over, she wants to thank you. She doesn't need to thank me. She does, because her husband died protecting something that mattered, and she wants you to know that matters to her. Helena's throat tightened. Tell her I won't let his sacrifice be meaningless. I already did. The helicopter flew toward the farmhouse, toward safety, toward whatever came next. Walsh sat beside Helena. You did good tonight, Doctor. I had help. Yes, you did. Walsh handed her a tablet. This came through while you were in the hospital. Admiral Morrison wants to speak with you, personally. About what? About testifying, about going public, about making sure everyone knows what happened. Walsh's expression softened slightly. About making sure your friend gets her name cleared. Helena looked at the tablet, at the message from the Admiral, at the promise of justice finally within reach. When tomorrow, after you get some sleep. Helena laughed, bitter, exhausted. I don't think I'll be sleeping much. Then at least rest. You earned it. The farmhouse appeared below. The helicopter descended. And for the first time in 28 years, Helena felt something she'd thought was lost forever. Hope. 3 days passed in the farmhouse like months. Helena's stump healed slowly, the damaged tissue refusing to cooperate with yet another new prosthetic. Emma slept 16 hours the first day, woke screaming from nightmares the second, and by the third was helping Walsh's analyst process the evidence from the USB drive. Lieutenant Hackett recovered enough to sit up, to eat solid food, to look at Helena with eyes that held questions he didn't need to ask. Commander Kane's shoulder wound had begun to heal properly under Helena's care, the infection finally responding to the right combination of antibiotics. Dr. Avery Lancaster arrived on the second day, brought in by Walsh's team after he'd gone to the FBI with his own evidence of suspicious surgeries at Mercy General. He'd been smart enough to document everything, to keep copies to protect himself. Now he was part of the team. On the morning of the 4th day, Walsh assembled everyone in the main room. Fleet Bank opened the safe deposit box at 0600 yesterday, she said, with a court order and 3 federal judges present. What we found changes everything. She projected images onto the wall, documents, photographs, financial records spanning 28 years. Miranda Ashford documented every suspicious death from 1996 to 1998. 37 soldiers, all flagged for psychological issues, all sent for treatment, all died within 6 months. Cardiac arrest mostly. Very convenient, very suspicious. Walsh clicked to the next image. Agent Phillips added his own investigation. He traced the organ recipients, found a pattern: high-ranking government officials, wealthy defense contractors, people who could pay premium prices for organs that came with no waiting list, no questions, no paper trail. Another image, a ledger, handwritten, names and numbers in meticulous columns. Reeves kept records, called it his insurance policy. If anyone tried to shut down Clean Slate, he'd release the names. Every politician who received an organ, every general who looked the other way, every judge who accepted payment. Helena studied the names, recognized some: senators, congressmen, a Supreme Court justice who died 3 years ago with a transplanted heart he'd never acknowledged receiving. How many? Helena asked. 217 recipients over 28 years, 643 donors, all military personnel, all supposedly died of natural causes or combat injuries. Walsh's voice remained flat, factual, but her eyes burned. This is the largest criminal conspiracy in U.S. military history. Emma spoke for the first time in hours. What happens now? Now we burn it all down. Walsh gestured to Kane. Commander Kane has been in contact with the Inspector General, the FBI, the DOJ. As of 0800 this morning, Clean Slate is officially under investigation. Arrest warrants have been issued. For who? Helena asked. Everyone. Reeves, obviously, Blackwell, 47 doctors across 12 hospitals, 32 administrators, 23 government officials who received organs knowing where they came from. and one very surprised junior analyst in my own office who's been feeding information to Reeves for 2 years. Helena's head snapped up. There was a mole in your team. Lieutenant Bradley Simmons, 28 years old. Gambling debts. Reeves paid them off in exchange for information. Walsh's expression was stone. He's in custody. He's talking. He gave up 5 more people we didn't know about. Tyler leaned forward. Commander, how did he know about the extraction? He didn't. He knew about Hackett's investigation. He warned Reeves that Hackett was getting close. Reeves decided to eliminate the problem before it grew. Walsh paused. The attack on the farmhouse was Reeves's private contractors. He hired them the same night you extracted Hackett. Simmons had nothing to do with that. He didn't even know about the farmhouse location. So the leak is plugged, Kane said, completely. We've vetted everyone else on my team. They're clean. Helena felt something loosen in her chest. What about Reeves? Where is he? Secure facility, undisclosed location. He'll be transferred to military custody once the paperwork is complete. Walsh's expression darkened. He's still claiming he did nothing wrong. Says Clean Slate was a legitimate government program that went off the books for operational security. That's bullshit, Avery said. The young doctor had found his voice over the past 3 days. I reviewed the surgical logs. These weren't emergency harvests from brain-dead patients. These were planned operations on healthy living soldiers who were sedated without consent. That's murder. Premeditated. Systematic. We know, Walsh said. The Attorney General knows. The President knows. This goes to trial in 6 months. The arraignment is next week. What about Nathan Cole? Helena asked. Recovering at Walter Reed, he's awake, confused but cooperative. He doesn't remember much about the surgery, but he remembers being in Reeves's clinic, remembers the doctor who smiled while cutting him. Walsh pulled up a photo. He's willing to testify. So are 12 other survivors we've identified. 12, Emma's voice cracked. There are survivors. Not from the harvesting, from attempted harvesting. Soldiers who were flagged sent for treatment, but something went wrong. They escaped or were rescued before the procedure could be completed. We've been tracking them down, protecting them, getting their stories. Walsh clicked through photos. Young faces, older faces, all military, all scarred in different ways. They've been living in fear for years, afraid to come forward, afraid they'd be killed if they spoke up. Now they're ready to testify. Because of you, Dr. Thorne. Because you showed them it was possible to fight back. Helena didn't know what to say to that, so she said nothing. Tyler spoke up. Commander Walsh, what about Martinez, Sergeant Martinez? What happens to his family? Walsh's expression softened slightly. Full military honors, flag-draped coffin, 21-gun salute. His wife, Sophia, will receive his pension and death benefits. His children, Isabella and Noah, will receive educational benefits through the Survivors and Dependents Educational Assistance Program. She paused. And there's something else. Private donors, veterans organizations who've heard about this case, have established a fund for children of soldiers killed in the line of duty. Isabella and Noah will have full college tuition covered. Both of them. Tyler's eyes glistened. That's good. That's really good. It doesn't bring him back, Walsh said quietly, but it honors his sacrifice, which is all we can do. When's the funeral? Helena asked. 4 days from now. Arlington National Cemetery. You're invited, all of you. Walsh looked at each of them in turn. Sophia specifically asked for you to be there, Dr. Thorne. She wants to meet the woman her husband died protecting. Helena's throat tightened. I'll be there. The meeting continued for another hour. Logistics, timelines, security protocols. Helena listened with half her attention, the other half already planning ahead. What came after the arrest, after the trials, after justice was served, she couldn't go back to Mercy General. That hospital was done. The board would resign. The administrators would be prosecuted. The building itself would probably be shuttered, condemned by scandal, if not by law. But there were other hospitals, other soldiers, other people who needed help. After the meeting, Helena found Kane on the porch, staring at the overgrown fields. Commander, Dr. Thorne, how's the leg functional? How's the shoulder functional? He smiled slightly. We make quite a pair. That we do. Helena leaned against the railing. What happens to you after this, after the trials? Kane considered. Probably back to active duty, maybe training, maybe a desk job. The Navy doesn't quite know what to do with SEALs who have been compromised on classified operations. You weren't compromised. You were betrayed by someone you trusted. In the military, those are the same thing. Kane looked at her. What about you? What happens to Dr. Helena Thorne after she brings down the biggest medical conspiracy in history? Helena laughed, bitter. I have no idea. I'm 62 years old with one leg and no job. Not exactly in high demand. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Before Helena could ask what he meant, Walsh appeared in the doorway. Dr. Thorne, there's someone here to see you. You should come see for yourself. Helena followed Walsh inside. In the main room, a woman stood waiting. Late 50s, white graying hair, tired eyes. She wore a simple black dress, military widow formal. Mrs. Martinez, Helena said. Sophia, please. The woman stepped forward. Dr. Thorne, thank you for seeing me. I'm so sorry about your husband. Sophia's eyes filled with tears, but her voice stayed steady. Commander Walsh told me what happened, how Alex covered your escape, how he gave his life protecting you. She took Helena's hands. I wanted to thank you. You don't need to thank me. Your husband died because of me. No. Sophia's grip tightened. My husband died doing what he loved, protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. He was a warrior. That's who he was. That's who he chose to be. She pulled out a small box, opened it. Inside, a Navy cross, Martinez's. He earned this in Afghanistan, saved his entire squad from an ambush. He never talked about it. Too humble. Sophia placed the medal in Helena's hands. He would want you to have this. Would want you to know that what you're doing, exposing this conspiracy, saving these soldiers, that's worth dying for. Helena couldn't speak, could only stare at the medal in her hands. I have 2 children, Sophia continued. Isabella is 9, Noah is 7. They need to know their father died for something that mattered. They need to know he was a hero. You give them that, Dr. Thorne. You make sure his death means something. I will, Helena whispered. I promise. Sophia pulled her into a hug. They stood there, 2 women who'd lost too much holding each other up. When Sophia left, Helena sat alone in the farmhouse kitchen, Martinez's medal on the table in front of her. Tyler found her there an hour later. Ma'am, you okay? Helena looked up. I keep wondering if there was another way. If I'd been smarter, faster, better, maybe Martinez would still be alive. Tyler sat across from her. Ma'am, I've asked myself that question 1,000 times. About Jason. About every mission that went wrong. About every friend I've lost. He leaned forward. And you know what I learned? What? There's no other way. Not for people like us. We see something wrong, we fight it. We see someone in danger, we protect them. We don't calculate odds or weigh costs. We just do what's right. He gestured to the medal. Martinez knew that. He made his choice. And he'd make it again. How do you know? Because that's who we are. Soldiers don't run from the fight. We run toward it, even when we know it might kill us, especially then. Helena picked up the medal, felt its weight, its significance. Thank you, Tyler. Any time, ma'am. 4 days later, Helena stood at Arlington National Cemetery wearing her dress uniform. Army, medal she'd earned decades ago. The prosthetic, hidden under slacks, but obvious in the way she stood. The funeral was small, military, precise. Sophia and her children in the front row, friends and family behind them. Helena and Walsh's team off to the side, respectful distance. The honor guard folded the flag, presented it to Sophia. She held it like it might break, like it was the last piece of her husband she'd ever touch. The rifle salute cracked through the air. 21 shots. Each one a punctuation mark on a life that ended too soon. Taps played, mournful, final. Helena saluted, held it until the last note faded. After the ceremony, Sophia approached with her children. Isabella, 9 years old, dark hair in braids. Noah, 7, trying to be brave in his small suit. Dr. Thorne, Sophia said, I'd like you to meet Isabella and Noah. Helena knelt down, eye level with the children. Your father was a hero, she said. He saved my life. He saved a lot of lives. And I promise you I will spend the rest of my life making sure people know what he did. Isabella's lower lip trembled. Why did Daddy have to die? Helena thought about lying, about making it easier. But these children deserve the truth. Because he saw someone in danger and didn't hesitate. Because he put others before himself. Because that's what heroes do. She took Isabella's hand. And you come from a family of heroes. That's something to be proud of. Noah spoke up. Will you remember him every day? I promise. After they left, Helena stood at Martinez's grave. The fresh dirt. The temporary marker that would be replaced with stone. Walsh joined at her. You don't have to carry all this, you know. Yes, I do. Why? Helena looked at her. Because if I don't, who will? Walsh didn't have an answer for that. 6 months later, the trials began. Helena attended every day of Reeves's trial, sitting in the gallery, watching him try to justify the unjustifiable. He never looked at her. Not once. As if by not acknowledging her presence, he could pretend she didn't exist. Pretend she hadn't destroyed everything he'd built. The evidence was overwhelming. Miranda's documents, Phillips's investigation, the USB drive from the hospital, testimony from survivors, financial records, surgical logs. The prosecutor was relentless, methodical. Every question designed to strip away Reeves's justifications until nothing remained but the truth. 32 counts of first-degree murder, 611 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, multiple counts of organ trafficking, fraud, conspiracy, theft of government property. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, found him guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him to life without parole, consecutive sentences. Reeves would die in prison. When the verdict was read, Helena felt nothing. No satisfaction, no relief, just emptiness. Miranda was still dead. David was still dead. Tyler's spotter Jason was still dead. Cecina Martinez was still dead. 643 soldiers were still dead. Justice didn't bring them back. Vincent Blackwell took a plea deal. 25 years in exchange for testimony against the other administrators. He'd serve his time in a minimum security facility, probably get out in 15. The other doctors received sentences ranging from 10 years to life, depending on their level of involvement. The government officials who'd received organs faced a different kind of justice. Public exposure, forced resignations, criminal charges for those who'd known where the organs came from. 3 senators resigned. 1 federal judge was impeached. A dozen military officers lost their rank and pensions. The scandal consumed the news cycle for months. Clean slate became shorthand for institutional betrayal, for corruption at the highest levels, for the price of looking the other way. Helena gave one interview, just one, to a military veterans magazine. The reporter asked her what she wanted people to know. "I want people to know that soldiers aren't disposable," Helena said, "that when they come home broken, we don't throw them away. We help them. We honor them. We remember them. And when someone betrays that trust, we hold them accountable. No matter how powerful they are, no matter how long it takes." After the interview, Helena walked to her car, found Emma waiting. "Dr. Thorne, I've been looking for you." "Emma, how are you?" "Better. Therapy helps." Emma smiled nervously. "I wanted to tell you something. I got accepted to medical school. Johns Hopkins. Full scholarship." Helena's chest swelled with pride. "Emma, that's incredible. I'm going to specialize in emergency medicine, like you, like my mother's sister Miranda." Emma's eyes glistened. "I want to help people, the way you helped me, the way Miranda tried to help people. You'll be an excellent doctor." "I hope so." Emma paused. "Dr. Thorne, what will you do now?" Helena had been asking herself that question for months. After the sentencing, Mercy General had offered her position back. Not consultant, chief of surgery, full control, whatever she wanted. She'd decline. The Army had reached out. Training position, combat medic instructor, teaching the next generation. She'd decline that too. Walter Reed had made an offer. Research position, studying battlefield medicine, advancing the field, also declined. "I'm opening a clinic," Helena said. "Free medical care for veterans. Anyone who served, no questions asked, no insurance required, no one turned away." Emma's face lit up. "That's beautiful. What will you call it?" "The Miranda Ashford Memorial Clinic." Helena looked at the sky. "She deserves to be remembered. Not as a casualty, as a hero. Can I help after medical school, I mean? I want to be part of this." "I'd like that." 6 months after the trials ended, the Miranda Ashford Memorial Clinic opened in a converted warehouse in South Boston. 3 operating rooms, a recovery ward, physical therapy facilities, mental health services. The funding had come from everywhere. Government grants, veterans organizations, private donations from people who'd heard the story and wanted to help. Walsh had called in favors. Kane had mobilized his network. Even Tyler, who'd left the military to become a physician's assistant, had contributed his signing bonus, $5 million, enough to open the clinic and run it for years. The staff came together naturally. Retired military doctors who wanted to give back, veteran nurses who understood PTSD because they'd lived it, therapists who knew that healing went beyond the physical. Emma signed on as a future resident, planning to join after completing medical school. Avery Lancaster left Mercy General to become the clinic's medical director. Kane taught combat medicine classes twice a week between his Navy duties. And Helena ran it all, not from an office, from the operating rooms. Opening day arrived on a Tuesday morning, cold but clear. The sunrise painted the warehouse windows gold. Helena stood in the main lobby watching patients arrive. Old soldiers, young soldiers, men and women who'd given everything and received nothing. Until now. Emma was at the intake desk registering a 70-year-old veteran who'd been waiting 40 years for knee surgery the VA couldn't provide. Hackett, fully recovered, worked in physical therapy, helping soldiers adjust to prosthetics, like the one Helena wore. Avery coordinated schedules, managed staff, ensured everything ran smoothly. And Helena was in operating room 1, scrubbed and gowned, preparing for surgery on a 26-year-old Marine who'd lost his leg in Afghanistan and needed vascular reconstruction the VA had denied. She positioned her prosthetic, the newest model, carbon fiber and titanium, a gift from Walsh and the Navy. It moved smoothly, naturally, an extension of herself rather than a replacement for what she'd lost. The Marine was awake, nervous. "Doc, is this going to hurt?" Helena looked at him. Saw herself 30 years ago, young, scared, trusting a system that would fail her again and again. "Yes," she said honestly, "but pain means you're alive, and alive means you can fight, can heal, can become who you're meant to be. What if I can't heal? Then I'll help you. That's what I do. That's what we all do here." Helena gestured to the team. Emma would observe during her pre-med shadow period, Hackett ready to assist, Avery monitoring from the control room. "We don't give up on soldiers. We don't decide you're disposable. We fight for you until you can fight for yourself." The Marine smiled, relaxed. "Okay, Doc, I trust you." Helena began the surgery. Her hands moved with the precision of 3 decades. Steady, sure. Saving one life because that's all anyone could do. One life at a time. Hours later, the surgery was complete. Success. The Marine would walk again. Would run again. Would live a full life. Helena stripped off her gloves. Walked out of the OR, found herself in the hallway alone for a moment. She thought about Miranda, about the letter, about the trust her friend had placed in her. Go get them. She had. She'd gotten them all. Helena walked to her office. Small, functional, photos on the wall, David smiling in his uniform, Miranda laughing at the camera, Tyler Brennan standing with his SEAL team, Jason Chen beside him, Martinez with Sophia and the children, happier times. The dead remembered, honored, not forgotten. On her desk, a newspaper. The headline, "Mercy General Hospital closes transplant wing permanently." And below it, another article, "New Veterans Clinic fills gap left by system failures." Helena sat at her desk, looked at her calendar. 53 surgeries scheduled for next month. 53 soldiers who needed help. She would help them all. Or die trying. A knock at the door. Walsh entered wearing civilian clothes for once. "Dr. Thorne, wanted to let you know the last of the government officials took the plea deal today. Senator Richardson, 20 years full restitution to victims' families." "Good." Walsh sat across from her. "It's over. Really over. Clean slate is done. The network is destroyed. Every hospital involved is under investigation. Every doctor involved is facing charges or has already been convicted." "How many total?" 173 people arrested, 94 convicted so far. The rest are awaiting trial or taking plea deals. Walsh leaned back. 643 victims identified, their families notified, their names added to the memorial. "What memorial?" "Oh." Walsh smiled, rare expression on her, Darlington. "The Pentagon commissioned it. A wall with all their names, the Clean Slate Memorial, dedicated to soldiers betrayed by those they trusted." Helena's throat tightened. "When's the dedication?" "Next month. You're expected to speak." "I don't do speeches." "You do now. These families need to hear from you, need to know their loved ones weren't forgotten." Helena thought about that. About 643 names, 643 families, 643 stories that ended too soon. "I'll be there." Walsh stood to leave, paused at the door. "Dr. Thorne, what you've built here, the clinic, it matters, more than the arrests, more than the trials. You're saving lives. That's the real victory." "I'm just doing my job." "No, you're doing Miranda's job, and Phillips's, and every soldier who died trying to expose this." Walsh's voice was quiet. "You're their legacy. This clinic is their legacy. Don't forget that." She left. Helena sat in her office surrounded by photos of the dead, thinking about legacy. What did it mean to leave something behind, to build something that would last after you were gone. The clinic would serve veterans for generations, would train new doctors, would become a model for how to treat soldiers with the dignity and respect they deserved. That was legacy, not the arrests, not the trials, not the justice necessary as it was. The healing, that was what mattered. Helena's phone buzzed. Text from Emma. Dr. Thorne, we have a walk-in, 38-year-old veteran, PTSD cardiac issues, says he's been on the VA waiting list for 6 months. Helena stood. Her prosthetic moved smoothly as she walked, each step solid, reliable. A reminder that what's lost can be rebuilt. That damage doesn't mean destruction. That survival is its own kind of victory. She walked to the exam rooms, found the veteran waiting, older than his years, worn down by war and neglect, the kind of face that had seen too much and survived it anyway. Dr. Thorne, yes, I heard about what you did, taking down that trafficking ring, saving all those soldiers. His eyes were wet. My brother was one of them, Staff Sergeant Marcus Williams. He disappeared 3 years ago. They told me he committed suicide, but I never believed it. Helena's breath caught. Marcus Williams, another name on the list, another family destroyed. The FBI called me last month, he continued, told me the truth, told me Marcus was murdered, that someone paid for it because of you. He stood, extended his hand. Thank you, you gave me closure. You gave me the truth. Helena shook his hand, felt the calluses, the strength, the same hands Marcus probably had. I'm sorry about your brother. Don't be sorry, Doc, be useful. He smiled slightly. That's what Marcus always said. Don't apologize. Just do better next time. Helena smiled back. Your brother was a smart man. Yeah, he was. The veteran's smile faded. Now about this heart thing, I need to be around for my niece and nephew. Marcus's kids. They're living with me now. Can you help me? Yes, I can help you. And she did. The examination took 30 minutes. The diagnosis was clear. Congestive heart failure. Treatable but advanced. He needed medication monitoring possible surgery. Helena prescribed everything, set up follow-up appointments, made sure he understood the treatment plan, made sure he knew he wasn't alone anymore. As he was leaving, he turned back. Doc, why do you do this? Work yourself to death for people you don't know. Helena thought about that question, about Kosovo, about Miranda, about 643 names on a wall, about Tyler and Martinez and Jason Chen and every soldier who died so others could live. Because someone has to, she said simply. Because if I don't, who will? The veteran nodded, understanding in his eyes. You're good people, Doc, the kind we need more of. After he left, Helena returned to her office, sat at her desk, stared at the photos. Miranda smiled at her. Go get them. She had, and now she was building something better, something that would last. The phone buzzed again. Another patient, always another patient, always another soldier who needed help. Helena stood, walked back to the exam rooms. There was work to do. There would always be work to do. And she would do it, every day, until her last breath. Because that's who she was. Dr. Helena Thorne, surgeon, veteran, fighter, builder, the last surgeon standing. And she wasn't done yet, not even close. 1 year later, the Miranda Ashford Memorial Clinic annual gala filled the converted warehouse with light and laughter. Donors and staff and patients mingled, celebrating a year of achievement. 2,357 veterans treated, 1,042 surgeries performed, 0 patients turned away for inability to pay. Helena stood at the edge of the crowd watching. Walsh was there in dress uniform, talking with the Inspector General. Kane was there with his wife, smiling more easily than Helena had ever seen. Tyler was there with Emma, both of them laughing at something Avery had said. Sophia Martinez was there with Isabella and Noah, now 10 and 8. The children were taller, stronger. Their smiles came easier now. Hackett was there walking without a limp, teaching a group of young veterans about prosthetic care. And in the corner, a memorial wall, bronze plaques, 643 names. Helena walked to the wall, found the names she knew. Miranda Ashford, David Thorne, both of them, Marcus Williams, Alex Martinez, all the others. We did it, she whispered to Miranda. We got them, all of them. A hand touched her shoulder. Walsh. Time for your speech, Dr. Thorne. Helena walked to the podium. The room quieted, hundreds of eyes on her. She thought about what to say, how to capture everything that had happened, everything they'd built. A year ago, she began. I was fired from a hospital for having a prosthetic leg. They called me a liability, told me I was too old, too damaged, too broken to be useful. She paused, looked at the faces in the crowd, soldiers, survivors, fighters. They were wrong. The room erupted in applause. Helena waited for it to quiet. I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to talk about why we built this clinic, why it matters, why we'll keep fighting. She gestured to the memorial wall. 643 soldiers were murdered because someone decided they were disposable, because someone thought their lives didn't matter, because someone valued money over honor. Her voice strengthened. We built this clinic to prove them wrong, to show that every soldier matters. Every veteran deserves care. Every person who served this country deserves dignity and respect and the best medical care we can provide. She looked at Sophia, at Isabella and Noah. We built this clinic so that children like Isabella and Noah grow up knowing their father died protecting something that mattered, something that lasted, something that saves lives every single day. She looked at Emma. We built this clinic so that young doctors like Emma learn that medicine isn't about profit margins. It's about service. It's about putting patients first. Always. She looked at the memorial wall. We built this clinic to honor the dead. All of them. Every soldier who was betrayed, every veteran who was abandoned, every person who died because someone in power decided they weren't worth saving. Her voice dropped, quieter, more intense. I'm 63 years old. I have one leg. I'm tired and scarred and stubborn. She smiled, and I'm not stopping. Not today, not tomorrow, not until every veteran who needs help has received it. Not until every soldier who comes home broken knows they're not alone. Not until the last name on that wall has been honored and remembered and avenged. The room was silent, absolute. This clinic is a promise to the living and the dead. We will not forget you. We will not abandon you. We will not let your sacrifice be meaningless. She stepped back from the podium. Thank you for being part of this promise. Thank you for keeping it with me. The applause started slowly, then built, then became a standing ovation that lasted 5 minutes. Helena didn't hear most of it. She was looking at the memorial wall, at Miranda's name. We did it, she thought. We kept our promise. After the gala, Helena walked through the empty clinic, the operating rooms dark, the recovery ward quiet, the physical therapy area still. She ended up in OR1, where it had all started a year ago, where she'd performed that first surgery on the Marine who'd lost his leg. He'd walked into the gala tonight, no limp, full recovery. He was working now, supporting his family, living. That's what mattered. Helena sat in the surgeon's chair, looked at the empty operating table, thought about all the tables, all the patients, all the lives. Her phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. Dr. Thorne, my name is Lieutenant Sarah Morrison. I'm Ryan Hackett's sister. He told me what you did, how you saved his life, how you exposed Clean Slate. I'm deploying to Syria next month. I wanted to say thank you for fighting for us, for not giving up, for showing us that honor still matters. If I don't make it back, I want you to know people like you are why people like me keep fighting. Helena read the message 3 times. Then she stood, walked out of the OR, turned off the lights. Tomorrow there would be more surgeries, more veterans, more lives to save. Tonight she would rest, would remember, would honor the promise she'd made to Miranda all those years ago. Go get them, she had, and she would keep getting them, every single day, until there were no more left to get. That was her oath. That was her mission. That was her life. Dr. Helena Thorne, the last surgeon standing forever.